Another fun prospect to talk about. Number 4 on the PFF big board out of Clemson. It is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. So with Trotter, some of the things I liked about him, doesn't really have trouble winning his blocks with that quickness, getting around offensive linemen at the line of scrimmage or the second level. It's kind of after those reps that he wins that things get a bit more sporadic, because it feels like he's almost playing a bit of a guessing game at times as well, right? With the angles he takes after getting those wins. But sometimes too, like with him, I found just ends up way wide of kind of where he should be. Other times he's just like a bit late to react in wrapping up and making the tackle, which led to a lot of missed tackles this past year, 15 in 2023. But he's really interesting in that it's such a weird thing for a player with like an 80 plus run defense grade to have these kind of glaring issues, whether it's either a missed tackle or one of the other ones that is typically a rarity, but I found happened to him quite a bit, is that he'll beat the initial second level block and then another blocker will come free, offensive line or tight end, whatever, and just be there to eliminate him from the play completely because he's not expecting it, or he's ending up in the wrong gap at times too. But he got a lot more hands on him, I noticed, compared to the rest of the class. So I wonder, if that was by design, trying to focus on him more as an offense. But, for him, I did like the way that he played. I like that kind of quickness or try to get around blocks. And sometimes it does work and he makes big plays in the backfield or around the line of scrimmage for a stop. It does go both ways. But he also earned a decent coverage grade over the past couple of years. But similarly to him as a run defender, there's some bad in there to make me concerned, right? A lot of the same over pursued and bad angles and missed tackle issues are all still there when playing coverage. Plays a lot more zone coverage. And one thing I noticed is that he's really slow or delayed in his reaction times when he's the primary defender in coverage. Even when it's obvious that the ball is going to his guy, his break on the ball just takes way too long to happen. So I wouldn't call him rangy by any means either. Like there are instances where he shows off decent range, but for the most part, and maybe this has to do with his angles as well, he's kind of slow to get outside the numbers, rarely in position to actually make a play on the ball carrier. I'm realizing this sounds very negative of Jeremiah Trotter. I think I just like like a lot of the stuff that you expect the guy to do well, he does, right? And then I think I put like I really kind of focused on the negative because that stuff really stood out for me. But like I am like a fan of his like tools, his athleticism, but I think there's plenty of work to be done here as far as like coaching him up and kind of slowing down the game a bit for him. And like I said, those kind of sporadic results that you get from him play to play, even if they initially start off well for him, could probably end up being a frustration for coaches. So a good coach can help him with a lot of that. He already has that ability, athleticism, and size to succeed at the next level. But I'd like to see that translate to more of a focused and stable result on the field, I guess, is also. How about you?
Yeah, I had a lot of the same notes. Like you said, he's really crafty slipping blocks in the initial block, right? He's super crafty, and you can see that with 28 and a half tackles for loss and 12 sacks over the last 2 seasons. So, I mean, he's crafty getting behind the line and making plays. He really is. But that, there's the other instances where, like you said, too, he slips a block and he gets himself out of the play, or there's another set of hands coming, they ride him out. I saw that as well. The one thing too, right? NFL bloodlines.
Right.
His dad played 12 seasons, 4 Pro Bowls, over 900 tackles. It's in his linebackers in his blood. So hopefully, that bodes well for him. Cleaning up some things. I know you were talking about like his speed. Not the rangiest guy, and I had a note like he's straight line fast when he closes, right? That's kind of what I noticed with him too, right? That you were talking about his delayed reaction. Yeah, right. I definitely noticed that too. And his ranginess, I'm not so sure. But like he's straight line fast. When he goes, and when he slip a block and he can get there in a hurry. Another thing I had, you talked about, I had a note as well, was his angles. And I thought that kind of hindered his range as well. He takes some odd angles sometimes, right. And especially there's a few outside runs where like he couldn't close the distance to get there. He just took like a real wide angle instead of cutting him off. And I don't know if he just didn't trust what, it was just kind of every once in a while it was odd. And I think, that, you talk about the missed tackles last year. I think that could have had something to do with it too. He just wasn't in a good spot to make the play, and it's something to clean up. Yeah, a lot of the same notes, man. I loved his craftiness, slipping blocks and making plays. I thought there's a lot of good, and then there's some reps where, where's he going and why did he take that angle? But just things he can clean up. There's enough to like with him too. There's some IDP upside with him.
For sure. There's definitely, I think, upside for him. Like a lot of the stuff that, is I guess a negative for him that we touched on, I think is all like kind of coachable stuff that you can clean up over time. Right. And, getting, again, another one of those things that comes with more experience and things like that. Like I don't know where he's expected to be drafted, probably. So it seems like it'll be, day 2-ish, right? Where he's going to go. So should have some like relatively good draft capital behind him. And I think it's deserved. Like there's some, again, ability there, athleticism, tools, speed, all that kind of stuff. And size that you can kind of rely on in the NFL and invest in and build upon, right? So for that reason, I think there's definitely potential for him to be maybe a day one guy, depending on landing spot. Like I have him, my favorite landing spot being the Seattle Seahawks. Like this is a team that I think is still going to add to their linebacker core. I know they have Jerome Baker and Tyrell Dodson as the new signings this offseason. Both of those guys are on 1-year deals. I'm not a big fan of Jerome Baker. He just doesn't do it for me. I think Trotter could be a guy that, again, has that potential for day one or to come in year 2 and be the starter that the team relies on. So that's kind of the spot that I was looking at him. But how about you?
I like it. I kind of took a little bit of low hanging fruit. We talked about NFL bloodlines with his dad. Well, his dad spent a lot of time in Philadelphia during his career. So I picked Philadelphia for Trotter. They brought in Devin White on a 1-year deal, whatever. He's been trending in the wrong direction. Not sure how that's going to pan out. Kobe Dean struggled to stay healthy. They could look to add a guy on day 2, like you said, and his dad was there, and Vic Fangio might want another guy to bring in and a guy with some NFL bloodline. So what the hell?
That would be fun.
Right on, man.
Yeah, that would be a cool one to see for sure. And like you said, Devin White 1-year deal. So we'll see if he works out there. But yeah, I don't mind that at all.